The first time I saw an angel was literally like out of a Disney movie. It was a little bit of CGI. There's an angel named Joy, a pink ball of light. She showed up in my living room, literally like a Roman candle this thick, just a column of pink light whooshing from the floor through the ceiling. And I'm like, what did I just see?
This week, I speak with angel intuitive Michael André Ford. It was a fascinating conversation. It took me well outside of my comfort zone. And Michael is a real force of nature. It was a hugely energizing conversation. And I have to say, if you'd had asked me over 300 episodes ago at the start of this journey with this podcast, whether or not I would one day be talking with an angel intuitive, I would not have believed it. But here we are. I set out with this podcast to broaden the range of permissible topics to talk about in a business context. And we've gone into childhood trauma, recovering from childhood trauma. We've got into some very innovative and new ways to think about management and leadership in the workplace. And we've talked about topics that touch into spirituality, meditation, and many of the most inspiring conversations with leaders. I'm thinking specifically of Bob Chapman right now. I've talked openly about their faith and their spiritual connection and how that has informed their leadership management approach and how they bring it into the workplace every day. So I believe that we should be having conversations about our spiritual nature in the context of business. I've personally been deepening my own spiritual connection over the last few years. It seems to have been accelerating my interest in that area. And the more I look, the more I see of how a spiritual connection is so important to live a fully fulfilled life. And if spirituality is on the table, then I guess angels are on the table. If we believe there's something beyond, then it's not a big step to believe there are spiritual entities, and that those entities may be there such that we can connect with them, and maybe such that we can even see them. And that's Michael's testimony. So let's dive in and hear what Michael André Ford has to say. Before we get into the show, I'd like to say a huge thank you to our sponsor, First Human, of which I am a co-founder. First Human is dedicated to extraordinary impact in the world through exceptional leadership. So if you're looking to elevate the leadership of your team or your organization, then do check us out. We also offer one-to-one coaching. So if you'd like to get coached by me or one of my extraordinarily talented fellow coaches, then head over to firsthuman.com. And with that, back to the show. And we are back. We're live with another episode of Being Human. I'm delighted to say I'm here with Michael André Ford. He's a multiple author. He's a guide, and he has written, amongst many books, Listening to Angels, which is the book I've written, How to Listen to Angels for Answers to Life Questions. So it is with great excitement and, as I was sharing with Michael before we came on the show, great trepidation that I invite you onto the show, because, if we have a spiritual comfort zone, this is like way on the edge of mine. Like I have this sense of there being something beyond. I've had some kind of weird moments in my life, and I have a sense of the spiritual that sometimes I feel like I might have tapped into. But when I read your stuff, I'm like, he's on another plane, and it just feels way out there. But I'm also really excited and intrigued. So I just can't wait to get into your story and what you have to offer, Michael.
Richard, well, thank you for having me on. And we certainly took a few steps before the show, didn't we?
We did. We certainly did. Yeah. So, I mean, with all my guests, I love to get their backstory. I like to have some of your history. Where did you grow up? Where did you get your start? And set us up to, when you first took this interest into, what you're now exploring.
Okay, well, I'm from the East Coast of the United States originally, even though I'm in Texas and San Antonio now with 10 years in Austin. And I moved a lot on the East Coast, so maybe 18 to 42 times, depending on how you count a move. military parents, stepfather, Coast Guard, Navy, dad. My dad died in 1970 when I was 2. A fighter plane crash off of Naples, Italy, off the carrier Roosevelt at night. The fighter went down. He knew he was going to pass early in life. He passed away on June 10th. So just recently, it would have been the death anniversary. His birthday had been June 7th, just turned 25 or 26. They put him in Arlington in 1998. So I lost my dad at an early age. And then I lost my mom at 23. But hundreds of people have met and seen them. I'm a guy who doesn't tell you anything. I deliver a direct experience, seeing, feeling, hearing, and I step out of the way. And so hundreds of people have seen them. They show up in their 20s. And that was a big part, for some reason, on my life path to be able to do this at a later date. Because I went to Andover for 4 years, a big boarding school, Middlebury College, started an MBA at 2 places, Fordham and NYU. I was on Wall Street for a couple of years. But in my early 20s, I looked like I was 14. And in my 30s, I looked like I was in my early 20s. So it was so hard for job and other stuff to be appreciated. But I switched to public relations, where it was your horsepower here or within you that was appreciated. And I really was good at public relations. I would put business people, venture capitalists, lawyers on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, front page of the business section of the New York Times, Fortune, CNN, back when the media was like normal. So we're talking like late 90s, mid 90s, and 2000s. Lehman ultimately was my demise. I worked for $1 billion law firm, and 72 of us got an hour's notice, and I got laid off. I was making CEO pay the year prior. I had personally set up 1,100 plus media interviews. So journalist on one side, expert on the other. And even the EEOC Secretary General I helped, the guy who bought and sold Snapple, who's since passed away, Thomas H. Lee, couple congressmen, stuff like that, just as, not favors, but goodwill. And long story short, I was happy as a clam. I talked to everybody, New York cab drivers, security guards, everybody, elevator people would be like, you've got to be from California. And again, back when California was the 70s, Beach Boy, that type of comment. And I was a fish out of water a little bit in New York, and I didn't know anything about anything. Oprah, Super Soul Sunday, Woo Woo, Plato. I skipped half his reading at Middlebury. I mean, I'm the last candidate for doing anything spiritual, serious, consciousness, mankind, helping raise awareness. Good luck with that. But I do like dad jokes. I like helping people relax out of their head into their heart. And so long story short, right after the layoff, I had bought a home in Austin, Texas. I was sort of Kurt Russell doing Escape from New York. I wanted out of New York. And so it was perfect getting laid off. I almost did the Toyota jump for joy in front of them, but I had to hide it. So I didn't have the eye patch, but I got to move to Austin, and then things started to happen. I started feeling, hearing, seeing. I'd had intuitive, either a girlfriend, friends. I'd gotten goosebumps. I could allow for it, but it was like Russian ballet and not appreciating the intricacies. I just had no capacity to handle any of this. And, maybe still don't. But I've been, in 13 years, I've been going up the curve like anything else. So I started hearing, feeling, seeing, and I did the good old American thing. I grabbed a Sure Shot camera right away and started snapping photos of what I was seeing. So fairies, angels, balls of light, silhouettes, not just orbs, all different types of photos. And I used to hand the camera to folks. They could take the photos. If the vibe went high enough, they would feel they could experience this. And then more importantly, forget the photos. They're a great stepping stone. Again, you look out your window 2 tennis courts away, people can actually see angels with or without wings. They can see their loved ones if they've owned the angel part and more. Figures from India, Native American chiefs, a wide assortment, a couple hundred folks. So just call this the universe. It's big. You can have any answers to any questions, all languages spoken, all dialects. And I don't know how this works, but the angels, the universe knows how to navigate your personality to just say it the right way. If there's 1,000 ways to say birds of a feather flock together, karma, what goes around comes around, you and I are very particular. We only have 2 ways that make sense to us, that leaves us on cloud 9 or happy. And so somehow that vibration that's the answer comes in and knows how to kind of populate in a sentence, a phrase that resonates at the highest level for us. It might stay around for a couple days as we go, wow, that was a deep answer. So this is whatever spiritual sacred that's been going on in indigenous cultures, the spiritual crowd, India, religion, philosophy, you name it. But whatever that is, it's the universe coming through.
Wow. Okay. So we went, that's a great answer. We went from Wall Street to taking photos of angels. So, like, what were the steps in between? So you moved to Austin. You've got you've not got the job in Wall Street anymore. Like, when was the first moment you saw something? Like,
Well, okay. The first time I saw an angel was literally like out of a Disney movie. It was a little bit of CGI. There's an angel named Joy, a pink ball of light. She showed up in my living room, literally like a Roman candle this thick, uh, just a column of pink light whooshing from the floor through the ceiling. And I'm like, what did I just see? And I hear a hello, like out of a Disney movie, a kid's movie. And then seconds later, it happened again, like half a meter over, and it scrambled anything I knew up in the brain. I was literally like, what just happened? And it was a big ta-da, hello. And angels have a way of sometimes doing the very first interaction in a kind of a blended form that leaves you a little just shell-shocked. There's no grasping this, and the reason is can't think your way to any of this because it ain't about more thinking. This is about a little less thinking and just being here and allowing. So it's are you here or are you here? And again, I got to do the philosophical thing. Most of the day we're up here, but all of us are here whether we know it or not. You know, a good portion of the day as well. We give ourselves no credit.
right, and just how do you process that? Like, you've just seen a column of light. It's saying hello. Like, what happened to
Panic.
you in the
I
aftermath of that?
Yeah, well, at the beginning of this whole thing, I panicked. I literally grabbed a sure shot camera. I'm grabbing people I knew by the lapels. I'm like, what's happening? Like, I don't under. I would ask the same question 200 times. I mean, I'm the slowest person. You know, it'd take me 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years to absorb the thing that you probably already did before the show, like that, and made me look like a chump. My point on this is everyone processes differently, and at the end of the day, it's not about processing. If you
Mm,
thought during your sports activity so much, you wouldn't be able to move on the pitch or the
mm,
soccer field. You wouldn't function. You'd be like, whoa, Eddie is on fire today. I can't match Eddie's skill, and you haven't moved. They'd kick you off the team. So you can't be up here processing whether it's art, you got to actually paint, dancing,
yeah,
singing. I
yeah,
mean, you think about it, it's not about this. Thinking about
sure.
hugging a dog is not hugging a dog. And yet, I'll spend 5 hours like, I really should walk my dogs today. You know, I really should. Meanwhile, I'm typing away, working, and I'm not walking. So
Okay. So you so you have this experience, you take photos of it, and then, like, do you have a regular job at this point? I'm just like, what, how do you then how does the story take the next stage?
I rolled with it. There's Plato and a fairy named Ginger. A Tinkerbell exists. An Omega Institute staffer wrote it in her testimonial at the end, and Tinkerbell was my very favorite. I'm off the hook. I used to, again, hand the camera to folks. They can see directly. I don't tell anybody much except breathe. It was a big career change. I think it was the universe kicking me out of public relations. I did a little bit after that, you know, here and there, some projects and stuff, but I started to go down the rabbit hole. You've heard the spiritual journey a million ways, and a little more sacred and a little more serious, a little more proper. I tend to not be like that. I don't get stuck in the dogma or the lingo, and I've got a tough assignment because if you're Catholic, you got to have it that way. If you're Hindu, you got to have it that way. I mean, there's 4,000 communities, and there's Tibetan Buddhist monks that I help people meet. Thich Nhat Hanh, Chogyam Trungpa, for example, Buddha, you can actually interact with. So let me do it this way. Just think of it as getting your answers for anything, no limits, any answers, any questions, all languages, all dialects. The record, Australians, for some reason, are just keen on this. They know how to do it. 9 hours of listening, 48 pages of answers. I don't stick around. I'm just checking in every 2 hours to make sure they're good. So it's what will you allow for? And if we back it up out of spirituality, forget all the woo-woo and all this stuff, what is anybody allowing for in their typical day? Probably not as much as they could. They're probably up here like most of us, stressing about work, bills, relationships, the lack. They don't have this. It was good when they were 22. Life was easy. Why is it not that way now? And what we forget is love is like a constant. All you have to do, and I'm quoting Mary, the big Mary, if anybody likes her. Love is a constant. Love is everywhere. Open your eyes to see love. And I say, good luck with that. It's tough. All the reasons in the world speak against it up here, but you have a huge heart and we don't give ourselves as much breathing space as we could daily.
Right. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like I get that intellectually, but I like sometimes I feel like I drop out of my ego and into my heart. But I get this sense of what you're describing is like another order of experiencing that.
It's just more consciousness awareness. There's a huge push these days on so many fronts. Consciousness is coming in that's just a kinder, gentler, more compassionate, more, hey, I'll be here, maybe not react, reject, resist as fast. We're still not going to like that neighbor 10 doors down that the whole community agrees is a total jerk. But I'm going to try to point out that that person is the one that maybe show a little more patience on. You generating the label, judging another person, if you could just see that energy, it's technically negativity. You can't be shocked when you use curse words or you say, I hate that political party or this country, what's going on over there. You can see that actual consciousness. Joseph Campbell describes that consciousness perfectly with Bill Moyers and The Power of Myth, the audio, the CDs, the audio CDs. That energy is like the Force when Yoda talks in Star Wars. It's in and around you. It's in everything. But you also know it as when you're on fire. You were able to write 55 pages for your book in one day. You were able, when you saw the cousin at the airport, like out of Love Actually, the beginning or end of the movie, the crowd is too thick. The noise is too loud, but your eyes connect. It's the Buddhist transmission. It's not the cousin you don't like. It's the cousin you love. You're like, haven't seen the cousin in 2 years. You light up, the eyes connect and you sizzle. Or it's, relationship stuff, love, whatever. The connection. There's something beyond words that happens when you're in the flow. Art, music, soccer, football, where you're you, the bigger you. You're not stuck with judging. There's a lot of judging going around. It's like handing out tickets to the Indy 500 these days. So there's something going on that's just bigger. It's the side of human nature that makes us so marvelous. We have tremendous room and possibility for growth and expansion. Now, it's a little bit like the kid just out of uni or university who has never held a job and is sitting in the basement of the parents' place. He's got tremendous room for opportunity and growth career-wise, too. So, mankind has awareness is coming for man. It's not here yet. It's not about evidence-based this or thinking your way logically to that. It is about love. Like, I'm gonna postulate. Here's where I go out on big, thin ice. Love truly is the fabric of the universe. End of story.
Yeah. And I totally buy that. Like I'm just fascinated by I'm fascinated by your story. So you see Joy, she says hi. You're like, oh, you get your camera out.
That one I'm in complete shock. I did not grab any camera. Half the time, I'll describe it this way. I'll show people the light on your fingers. It's just an aura, how you feel each other at the airport from afar. There's a connection. How ballerinas on stage work together, musicians work together. You can see that light. You might accidentally do it, but it's just consciousness everywhere. So it's auras, chakras, consciousness. It's the Force from Star Wars you can see. But I was watching a movie one time before I ever knew Plato existed or angels or Einstein or anybody. And I was cocky. I saw a bunch of familiar actors, the police chief from the old Miami Vice, an NCIS actress, the guy from Band of Brothers. And I'm like, what is this movie? And then they showed their light against the jungle background doing this. Now, it turns out in the 70s they were doing this. I had a guest on my show tell me that the other day. Is like, that movie was nothing. They were doing this in the 70s. In India, they do it this way. And you'll see a filament of light, different colors between your fingers. It's your flow. So I was cocky. I did it. It's like an HBO movie back, this is 15 years ago or something. I saw white light more than I did, I saw it everywhere. And I freaked. I was really comfortable up to that moment. I always used to run to my kitchen in my first Austin home and do circles like a goldfish in a goldfish bowl. I'm literally yelling. No one's in the house. I'm yelling, what did I just see? What did I just see? And to show you how not brave I was, I might have said that 40 times. I was going in a circle.
I'd do that if I did.
Yeah, I was like, what did I just see? I'm an idiot about this. It literally, I have to be told 100 times to allow for it because the brain, wants to resist everything. How is this possible? Wait, you want to look under the blanket and be like, you sure somebody isn't moving something over there this way? I'd still check my thermostat if I feel a wind in the room or I see light. The brain will react one way, but the heart is like, oh, that was actually love. Pretty. I loved it. And if we do Audrey Hepburn's photo later, a photograph, we all know, every one of your audience members knows a historical photo of Audrey Hepburn, can't wink, smile, nod, eyebrow go up, but yet That's what happens for a lot of people. So we'll try to remember Audrey Hepburn as well. I'll put her up. If not, go to the front page of my website. She's sitting there, and just the big thing is set your intent. Like if we ditch the spiritual stuff again, you don't understand how big your heart is. Allow more, love more, get out of your own way. Think less 7% a day, but set your intent. Find a way to discover your own way of setting your intent. Hey, universe, help me get out of my head into my heart and have a great weekend. Help me find the new job. Help me do this. Help me do that. If you ain't putting it out there, you ain't trying. And you're already putting everything out there through the brain more than you realize, complaining, resisting, rejecting, stressing. So let's just go back to self-help or basic, how it works here versus here. Thinking, heart.
Right. Okay. So I guess so back to your story. I just so into your story. So you see this pink light, you're like, okay, I can't take a photo, right? But then what? Do you start seeing these angels more of the time? Do they start giving you direction? Like how does it unfold from there?
Well, let me back up a little bit. I got stuck on the concept that there might even just be ghosts. I hadn't met any angels, Plato again, anybody.
And when you're talking about Plato, you mean Plato as in
Plato the philosopher,
who is now an angel? Is it?
No, spirit guide, unconditional love. I hate to try to make different structure. There's no hierarchy or anything. It's all just unconditional love. You can meet your relatives, see your pets that are passed over. But why wouldn't you want to talk to your current alive dog? They sound like third graders. So I'm pointing out that everything is always bigger than you think it is, than you're allowing for it. But let me back up to just when this all started. I had a very empty house. I hadn't put up paintings, pictures. I didn't have plants. I hadn't started gardening outside. Now I grow flowers. I snap them. I have a flower photography book from a long time ago. But I wasn't cooking as much, still doing the New York thing, takeout. And I had a shaman kind of help me out, a little bit Australian trained, part Jewish background, very hardcore. It gave me a long list of things to do. I jumped on that list like a New Yorker. I got it all done in 3 days. I've got stuff on my walls. I'm cooking. I'm buying plants. I'm sure I'm going to kill half of them. But I was stuck on the concept of ghosts. And I think that's really easy to do, is get stuck on something. And maybe we're not even talking about spiritual. We're talking about career or relationships. So I didn't want to talk to people anymore because half of them are turning out to be spiritual or this whole intuitive thing. And half my friends were more intuitive than I realized. And I had been around intuitive people. I didn't doubt that they weren't doing something. I'd even get a couple goosebumps, but I couldn't relate. I couldn't grasp. It was like the Russian ballet or Matisse, and I don't know anything about Matisse. I can't appreciate that painter. I haven't learned how to just stay open and learn. So I want to get a burger downtown in Austin, Texas, at this one place that reminds me of a home, from Nantucket. And so I go down to Zach's. The place is dead empty when I walk in. One guy sitting at the end of the bar. The bartender's gone. I haven't been there in 3 months, but I feel comfortable there, and I'm starting to really get worried about what's going on around me. The universe, how is this possible? It's the big shakeup that you hear about if you have a car wreck, divorce, big illness. Your whole world goes upside down. I just want a burger. Don't want to talk to anybody. In walks a guy that I had sat with 3 months earlier. He hasn't been back since. It was a 1 in a million, and he's a normal human. He's safe. He used to do album artwork design stuff for bands. Austin's a big music town back then and still is. So he's turned mini real estate mogul type. So he's safe. We're chatting. There's one guy at the end of the bar, looks like a Hispanic Nick Nolte, the actor, and gave us the cover story. He owns some farm in South Texas, maybe grapefruit or something else. But I swear to God, Hispanic Nick Nolte, leather jacket, eating out of a mindfulness video. And all I've got going through my head is ghosts, ghosts, ghosts. Get out of the chair like a complete idiot, which I do this all the time. You could throw me under the bus with the number of ways I've been an idiot for 12 years now. I go down to the stranger and I'm asking about ghosts. And it was Joy, the angel, in human form as a Hispanic Nick Nolte. I guess they had decided I was just hopeless. I got shoved over the fence on the topic. I looked in her eyes and I saw galaxies spinning, and I don't even know what he said. From that moment on, I stopped worrying about ghosts, and I finally got unstuck and got moving. I got stuck I was so worried about every movement. If I heard something in the house or wherever, I'm like, ghosts. I was so scared. It's Christmas Carol, the Scrooge story. We only know him as a jerk at the beginning of the 79 pages or in the movie. We forget that he's the biggest joy bringer at the end, and that everyone wants to talk to him, and he still does good business. And we forget that it was a 30-second transformation, dream time. Most of the movie goes into the dream, and it's an hour and a half. But my point is, that's all of us. And that's why that neighbor might be Scrooge, but we forget that that could be a week later, a different type of person if you would just allow a little bit more. Doesn't mean you have to get in there and hang out with them, but everyone's doing the best they can according to where they are on the consciousness curve. No one walking around today saying, I'm going to waste my energy for the entire week. And yet that's exactly what we do for about 70% of our
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you this Hispanic Nick Nolte's is at the bar, but then you look in his eyes and you're like, oh no, this is joy in human form.
Well, I didn't even know it was joy at the time. I just saw like galaxies spinning and it got me over the topic. And later I got the backstory. I also saw an angel named Charlotte as a human at a Starbucks. I'm meeting with my book manager, my book editor for Glow Stick Zen. I'm sitting on one of those high tables and there's those window seats in America where you just are supposed to look out. She's sitting in one looking at us, looking in. And I saw her in Santa Fe, New Mexico garb. She was sipping her coffee. And I asked the important questions of angels in this entire time. And by the way, there's been like 50,000 answers people have gotten on their own. I don't see your questions or answers. But instead of asking who killed JFK, I asked the important question. When angels are here in full-on human form, you could pinch them. Do they drink the coffee? And the answer was yes. So now we know. Don't even try to process this. This is just one of those things like you hear about the miracles of somebody gets in a car wreck and some stranger comes along and helps drag them out. It wasn't their time to go up in a puff of smoke. They get dragged out of the burning vehicle and the policeman comes along and they're like, where's the old man or the person who just pulled me out of the vehicle? And no, ma'am, I'm the first on the seat. You hear those guardian angel stories all the time. So somehow something's going on in life, and you know this when you fall in love, the synchronicity, the serendipity. How many times did angels try to get you to slow your roll so you'd visit the cafe on the way to work to pick up the coffee so you could bump into Linda, ask her on a date, and then 30 years later, you're wondering why you're so happily married? I mean, how many... It's bigger than we allow for or think it is, and we knew it as a kid. You absolutely knew it as a kid. You're like, I'm going to climb that tree. I'm going to be president, astronaut. You had no limits. You were totally, I was about to say up here. You were totally here. You had it all. You were just like, hey, roll up the sleeves. Let's do it. Action with no thought. Bam. And then adulting kicked in and seriousness and evidence-based science. And this group's philosophy or terminology, there's so much thinking going on. I'm not kidding. It's the Indy 500. And welcome to racing or Formula One. It's okay. We're all Fittipaldi or Lewis Hamilton will go more modern Verstappen. And it's okay. You're not getting rid of the Formula One driver who's running the show up. But you can have him go in the back seat and you can take charge a little more through the heart if you're cool with that.
Okay. So I'm not going to process it. You've met Nick Nolte, like the Hispanic Nick Nolte, and you see galaxies in the eyes, and then you met another angel who's the other side of the window, and you start to be like, okay, this is real.
I was like, why is she staring at me the whole time, like sipping coffee? She just was sipping coffee, staring at me the whole time, totally, and dressed Santa Fe, New Mexico with turquoise jewelry, totally fish out of water. Austin has a lot of different vibes, a lot of different people from New York, the energy crowd, the Texans, the hats, the venture capital types, the young, all different makes and models. I've never seen anybody dressed like a Santa Fe, New Mexico person, and very elegant, I wasn't going to forget it. So look, you have strangers pass through your life cycle, your story, your timeline all the time. You're walking on the beach and that stranger just said a kind word. Now there's those stories where you turn back and they're gone. You're on the little village street and the person wished you good morning. They're gone. It doesn't have to be that though. It could be just kindness. I worked as a rent-a-cop meter maid in my first job out of college. I wanted to take a little time off in Nantucket. So I got sworn in. I'm wearing a police uniform. They paid you nothing. I'm eating out of cans every third day. I could afford the sandwich once in a while at a Henry's sandwich shop, but not the brownie. I wanted the brownie. And Henry looked like a very skinny Santa Claus. Beautiful man. Owned the place. But an angel might have popped in named Dale, who coached an Olympic athlete we all know from the 70s, 80s, popped in, and Dale twice that summer, the owner, without disturbing the time-space continuum, winked at me, would grab a brownie, and jam it in my bag after I've paid for everything. But the owner can do anything he wants. If he wants to give a brownie away, I'm not going to stop him. So there I was 15 minutes later, munching under the tree, a brownie, having the best moment of my life. Only 20, whatever age, 22, 23. Haven't done the corporate thing yet. And it was just a little moment. I think it's the little moments in life that are everything. You'll note on your last breath, the whole when your life flashes, you ain't going to be flashing to how hard you were stressing, worrying, and consumed. No sleep for a week because you were worrying about the bills, the relationship thing. You're only going to flash to the cool stuff. It's Mother Teresa, back to the example of the neighbor. If you judge someone, you have no time to love them. As soon as you realize what love is, or whatever this is, the flow, creativity, inspiration, fun, letting go, and sports when you're in the zone, artist stuff, being at a concert, versus up here, you choose where you put yourself. You're spending your energy all the time. And if you could see it as light, happy light, colorful, rainbow light, versus what the heck this is, you would not cringe, and you wouldn't hopefully judge yourself more at how vicious you could be up here. And that's all of us. Me at 2:00 today. I'm still going to be a big jerk. Don't worry about it. Welcome to being human. But if you saw this, which by the way you can, and we'll do in a little bit on the show or right now, whenever, that helps you realize to make better choices. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. This is great. And okay. So Michael, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to turn my life over. I want to hear the pivot. When do you okay, I'm going to start helping people connect to their angels? How does it progress to, what you're doing now?
Well, it wasn't easy. I mean, let's say I'm privately on my own time at a bookstore. I just want to look at some books, and I'm getting pinged. Like a woman shows up on the aisle, kind of heavy set woman, and I'm like, whoa, I'm here to look at books. I hear a little doorbell ring, or I get pinged. I know I'm supposed to maybe chat with that person and maybe help them out, because I'm technically psychic. But the point is, nowadays I try not to tell you anything. See your questions, see your answers. I help you just use what you've already got, your ability to do basic listening, feeling, and seeing. But I'm at a bookstore one day, and I see her, and I'm like, I want to keep looking at books. So I change genre, and she shows up on the aisle. I usually get 3 tries for someone. But can you imagine how awkward it is to strike up a conversation with a stranger, which it tends to always work out if it's meant to be? I'm like, hey, how's your day going? Or they'll catch me in the parking lot if I chickened out in the store. I'll see them again, and I'll be like, hey, how's your day going? They'll be like, hey. But there's something going on, like their cheerleading squad, your cheerleading squad. You're meant to chat that day. And I'll always ask, how's life going? One of those vague, and everyone's always like, oh, great, fine. But there's a pause. And then some people who are actually meant to cough it up, they're like, well, actually, this is what's going on. And then I show them their light on their hands. I tell them what I do. If they want to take some steps, usually they take some steps. And a lot of amazing encounters have happened that way. After COVID, I do most of my stuff by Zoom. I don't get to see people in person as much right now. But that bookstore person, they had lost a teenage son. They jammed a hug on me at the end. There's nothing wrong with hugs. I love hugs. I think hugs from angels are number one. But I'm like a sponge, so I picked up all their Samsonite luggage of all the rest of their humanly stress and worries and took it home with me. And that's a different story. You got to have good boundaries. You got to appreciate that everything is energy around you, especially at work. If you are that athlete, you're wondering why you got into that slump. I love athletes. That's why. Because they're constantly perfecting the flow. They don't realize it should apply to all quadrants. Think of some of those Olympic athletes that are no longer Olympic. They might have won 20 gold medals. They do commercials for the psychology.com services today. We know who that is, the swimmer. But they were never training the training for life, all of it. The training you do in the pool is the same training you should be doing for your relationships, for your other work product when you're no longer going to be an athlete, your gardening. It's called being present. It's the Japanese Zen thing, the Buddhism stuff. It's the intersection of all the philosophies and religions. It's called being in the moment, being in the heart, allowing more, loving more. Still can be a fantastic business person, Olympic swimmer. But there's so many people who only trained for 20 years this way, and then they're deer in headlights for life.
Right. Yeah. No. I can think of there's an example of a very famous British cyclist. It's recently happened. Their career ended, and they're in a bit of a rut right now.
But I hope it's not Cavendish.
No, it's not Cavendish. It's Bradley Wiggins. But if you go,
He's cool.
I don't know if you've heard, but he's like homeless, and he's anyway. It's a bit of a sad
I
story.
didn't know about any of that. Yeah.
Right, but this woman, like, tell me, I didn't quite get the point. So you meet her in a bookstore. She tells
She had
you
lost
what's
her
going
kid.
on, and
Yeah, we start chatting, and I just helped her in some way that helped her switch her perspective on it being a lack or a loss to she had done so much thinking that it accumulated. She was able to kind of clean the slate. It was really the universe, angels doing whatever they do to help a person back into their heart, to feel a little lighter, to shift their perspective on what had happened to them. It's a little bit like Ted Lasso. Events don't happen to us, they happen for us. So all these, you could be, divorce, head trauma, illness, job layoff, all this stuff. But it happens for us so we can, if life was all love and fuzzy and easy and smooth and Disney-esque, I don't know if we'd be having much fun, actually. The contrast is what makes this place, Earth, so incredible. And love is what allows you to take in all the contrast, all the flavor, and appreciate it. And back to homelessness, I said I don't ask any of the big picture questions. And I asked about coffee, and the angels said, yeah, we drink coffee when we're in human form. But I did ask about homelessness once and get this for an answer. It stuck out. I don't remember much, but I remember this. All my answers are written down on a stack of paper. Homelessness, an angel, it might have been Joy. She said, what an adventure. None of us would say that's an adventure, but what I'm trying to say is every moment is the occasion. Every moment is your opportunity for growth, for being more love, for shifting your consciousness. Anytime you say you're stuck, my problem is, my situation is, you're talking from up here. And until you learn the difference, it might take a lifetime, it might take 2 decades. We get stuck as adults for a very long time. But whatever this is, I'm not going to say it's a total waste of energy, but when you're super creative thinking, you're actually down here. And once you learn the difference, you have to be a complete idiot like, me to keep doing this much thinking, which I still do. But I'm super fast, by the way, on teaching. I might be slow on the uptake, but if I tap somebody on the shoulder, or I just have ways of tap dancing a cane and a top hat, I'm being metaphorical here, of getting a person out of their brain into their heart. I tell a lot of jokes. I help people see their energy. I blow sage through 2 screens. I do all sorts of things that short circuit the 40 million reasons you can't be in your heart. You can't be more, having more fun, more this, more that. And your heart just knows what to do. It's trusting the heart more.
And is this what you did with this woman? You allowed her? Did you like engage her angels or your angels?
I didn't have any definition to it. I just did what I do. I probably showed her my light on my fingers, had her see hers, just as a stepping stone, so she knew something was up. I definitely put angel photos in front of her. You look at a photo of an angel, and you silently don't get caught at the supermarket talking out loud. You're like, hey, Joy, what do I need to know in life right now? Is a tough, easy, basic question. It's testing the electricity, the plumbing. Are you really able to do basic listening, but from the heart? And think of it this way. You're a golfer, you're a writer, you do something. You've got an inner voice, like Thomas Magnum, either the new or the old show from the 70s, 80s. That voice sounds like you. But I'm not talking about the one that says hop in the Jag that you don't own and go 200 kilometers down the road. That's the bad side. Don't worry about that. I'm talking about the good side that is always talking to you, that you think is you. It might be your higher self, your soul, but I'm going to make the argument that at least 10 to 50% of that conversation is your Aunt Martha, who passed over 10 years ago, that you love dearly. Or it's an angel, or it's Einstein, or whoever your crew is. They're talking to you, but you would literally freak out if you were driving and that voice came in and it was Einstein's voice. You would hit the brakes, probably get into a wreck, run out of the car, run in circles in the park and be like, who was talking to me just now? If you're golfing, you're on the 17th hole, you're cranking, you happen to be a good local golfer, you're about to win your first tourney. You're talking to yourself. You're like, let's smack this, get a hole in one or at least 2 strokes. I mean, I'm on fire. Let's do it. But if, Aunt Martha, Archangel Michael, Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, Vishnu, Krishna, Ganesh, or Buddha came in and said, smack that ball, you'd probably drop the club, run around in circles and leave the country club and not even finish. You'd freak out. So what do you think that voice, that intuition has been this whole time? Good luck with processing any of this, but now you're screwed. The next time you hear that little voice, you're like, wait, is that me? Your brain's going to want to analyze this, get a clipboard and just poke it to death. There's some point of letting go and going with the flow. A lot of movies, every movie in a way is about the human condition. And that's all this is. Welcome to some thinking. and extrapolate. That's how man has wiped each other out to the tune of like 200 million dead, the pollution. But the real climate change isn't external. And it's not about controlled talking or ideology or groupthink or having to be, no more free speech. It's about owning what you've been given, and you used it as a kid and periodically as an adult, but you're probably not having as much fun as you really could be having.
Well, that's why I'm so attracted to these conversations and other people who seem to be coming into my life, with more of this spiritual perspective. Is that, yeah, I am definitely in this state where I'm aware of how much I'm in my head, and how much I'm in negative thoughts, and how much I'm in negative feelings, and like it's like I'm what do they say? The cuckoo who knows he's a cuckoo is halfway out the clock, right? And I'm like that cuckoo, right? I get that there's this other state to be in, and I can drop into my heart, and so that I totally get. And I've had like certainly experiences that I relate to as receiving intuition. It's just what you're describing is a much broader, richer picture, it seems to me.
It's a little bit like the movie Casablanca when the head gendarme, the chief of police, walks into the casino and says, "I'm shocked to see there's gambling going on in this casino, and the gambling will make it thinking," or something like that. And then meanwhile, the waiter walks up and says, "Sir, your winnings," and he tucks the envelope in. I mean, look, thinking is nonstop for us all. How do you even know? And that's why meditation, mindfulness, there's a gajillion groups out there that are all about helping you from here to here, every religion, philosophy in a way. The Mahabharata, I love the Peter Brook stage performance of that. I mean, to me, everything that people are doing is to your benefit. Everything is your instruction to let go more, to allow more, to let the inner you come back out, for you to shine a little bit more. You have it all, but it's Plato's cave. If you told anybody, "Hey, you have it all," we stopped the person on the street corner in the middle of London on the street, you're like, "You have it all. You have no limits. We're Tony Robbins." They're going to look at you strange. And if it was Plato's cave and you did that, you get out to the sunshine, you get out of here, you discover how big the universe is and how willing, any answers, any questions. Do you have the guts to just listen and ask? Full stop, to be here. You go running back into the cave, they will kill you. I have gone to every imaginable group. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm enthusiastic. I'm enthusiasm. So if anybody's reacting at home, take me with a grain of salt. But I'll knock on a door. I've even walked into a Catholic church and I'm like, "Hey, do you want to meet God, Mary, Jesus?" I was an idiot. This is like 10 years ago. The priest was from India. He's like, "Well, we really love Jesus." And I was like, "Oh," and I got off the hook. I was running back to my car like, "Hey, I tried to offer." All I can do is make the offer. And years later, some people say yes. Some people do it. Then they shut down later. It's like the ego comes in and says, "Whoa, you were just way too open." You have unlimited ability to engage. And I think in a small way, you're doing it like half the day, gardening when you weren't paying attention to anything. It's it's action with no thought. I'll mix everything up. It's when you're here is all this is. You can't dance well and be up here. You can't hug your dog and be up here. Keep going. And that's all you have to do is practice hitting your heart button. It's the light switch on the wall right there. When was the last time you hit a light switch and you spent 10 hours over 10 days analyzing your performance? Did you hit it right? Was there a slight delay? Was there a flicker? Was it the light bulb or was it the switch? Was it the engineering? Did you go into schematics? Did you judge your finger? Did you beat yourself up to the point you couldn't sleep for 2 hours?
Yeah.
No. You expect the light switch to go on. The ego has a certain strata, a cutoff point where it's like, I'm not going to pay attention to light switches. He can do as many light switches as he wants, and he's going to be an Olympic performer at light switches. We don't care in terms of control and limits on him. The ego is about one thing and one thing only: control, fear, worry, stress, reducing everything to processes or processing. That's why evidence-based science, if scientists wanted to listen, holy cow, how many pursuits are there? 40,000 different areas of science? They'd be off to the races. It doesn't mean I haven't had a scientist do this. I had the Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum version of the Jurassic Park scientist from one of those European countries do this. Will I ever talk to him again? Maybe. I hope so. But he did great. I had to talk him off the ledge at the beginning. This sounds like a lot, but it should be enough of a carrot to be like, "Hey, you can have any answers to any questions." Whoa, what does that do for man? It's great for a real estate group. You know who to do business with. You go to Taiwan, you have 17 groups. Find out which 3 are your top contenders that you would do good business with. Better than that, learn how to see the energy flow so you see the auras on the groups that are good for you. 1 plus 1 can equal 11 or 111. Why does it have to equal 2? Exactly. We left you speechless.
I'm just going to laugh. I'm going to laugh. Wow. Okay. And so, I did your book, right? You want to do the sage?
If you want to, but keep going with you bought the book, you read the book. I got a little book from 2014, which if anybody thinks I wrote it, you're kidding yourselves. If you've heard me talk, that is not me talking. It's so simple. It's just unconditional love, compassion. I wrote it pretty quickly. I'm seeing balls of light as I typed. What did you think of the book? Do you think I possibly wrote, does that sound like me? And if it does, thank you, by the way.
Well, I'm just like, okay, I'm consciously letting go of the ego. I'm just like, okay, here's a book, and it's written by angels, and I'm being introduced to these and there are these photos of angels, and the suggestion is, I know that there are more questions, but the first question to pick was like, what do I need to know in my life? And then you write down the names of these angels, and you look at the picture, and then you write down whatever you get. And I did get answers, and they're great. I mean, it's about me being more expressing my beauty and letting the love in, and allowing my spirituality, drink it up, love more, save a life. Like, I'm getting all these wonderful answers. It was a great experience. So yeah,
What are you going to do with that? I mean, if we could literally spend 2 weeks analyzing, did it happen? Did it not happen? There's some form of, I can give you an example of Vermont. I had a bunch of friends go to the Falls of Lana. If you know Vermont in the United States, there's this particular falls. It's kind of safe to jump. If you jump too short, you will hit the rock. It's a little scary. I'm the guy that held onto the tree for half an hour. Everybody else managed to jump. And my friends were very patient. They're like talking to me. It's probably like 19 minutes. But I'm like, I'm not jumping. It's like out of a Hollywood movie. And then this is a leap of faith. But the faith, if you don't like religion, it's non-religious. If you like religion, it's religious. To me, it's the same thing. It's called letting go. And it's getting out of what you know long enough to allow for some modicum possibility. You can't have everything nailed down. And if you do, you're going to get Ted Lassoed big time. All those characters go through some sort of sea change. You're going to have an upheaval, the divorce, the car wreck, the something that's got to shake your version of reality. There's 7 billion people or more. There's a lot of versions of reality going on. There's more than that when it comes to thought forms. Yikes. 40 trillion thought forms. Let's just do a basic thing. I like sushi. I don't like sushi. The New England Patriots football team, American football, I hate them. I like them. Well, those sine waves cancel out. What we're left with at the end of the day is love. That's it. Passion. Art is good. And it really is good. Or dance, or flowers, or seals, baby seals, or funny seal movies on YouTube or Twitter or X or TikTok. I mean, the bottom line is, where are you going to, okay, here's what I learned in 13 years. Not much, by the way. Allow for all. Where you put your focus is where you put your focus. How you spend your energy is how you spend your energy. I phrased it in a way that it's almost bulletproof. Because otherwise humans will pick apart anything that you say at the word level. I could give a speech. Eckhart Tolle does this all the time. He gives a speech and someone's like, hey, afterwards, in the question and answer part, at minute 37, you said this. I disagree. Or it could be the Dalai Lama. It could be anybody. The point is, the brain is ready to pick a fight and disagree and to analyze and to whatever. Love is love. Details are details. Thinking is not love. You have to do your own figuring out. Now, here's the good news. Everyone has a unique life path. At any point, it's not too late if you're 80. You can get right back on the horse. Ride, 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 as Geronimo would say. Don't look left, don't look right, don't look back. The riding is the action. It's your heart. It's you embracing. Like Dull Knife, another Native American chief people can meet. Life is a feast, partake. So something about this is about you owning your heart, just being more open. You know, a gajillion cults have been started because of this, a gajillion religions, philosophies, groups, tons of groups, but they all use specific lingo. It's still not about the lingo. It's not about any organization. It's not about doing it this way or that way. You have to find your own way to your own heart, which, by the way, you're there all day long. So it's kind of like just, it's so Soul Surfer, the movie with Bethany Hamilton, the movie. She gets out of the water towards the end and she realizes losing her arm to a shark wasn't the end of her life. She says to her mom, a famous actress, like maybe Helen Hunt or somebody, Mom, I've gotten over it. It's not a big deal anymore. She ends up doing tournaments later, surfing. What do I do next? And the mom's like, just love, and the rest will fall into place. St. Augustine said that, love and do what you will. So there's something about that whole Beatles thing from the 60s, love, 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 what goes around, there were specific lyrics that everybody cites. I went blank. But so it's more of this, a little less of this, and don't beat yourself up over even trying.
Right. And am I right that you're saying everybody has like a crew, like a set of angels that's unique to them?
Yeah, but I mean, if you are offended in some way, reacting, don't pay attention. Who cares? Do what you're going to do. The question is, are you wasting energy? Are you up here? Welcome to being human. That's me. Later today, I go for a run. I've been running for 42 years since I was 14. So I'll be running, and if someone was really mean, it reverberates around until I let it go. So I mean, I've got tons of thinking going on. But you can ask angels to lighten you up. You have to learn how to manage. You're your own company, and you're CEO, whether you know it or not, especially of this. You have fun when you're here. All the cool moments happen when you're here. Nothing's holding you back from allowing more, loving more. I'll throw the holy hand grenade into this whole thing. Let's just wipe out the whole topic. Forget angels, the universe, and everything else. This is going to be the rub. People are going to be up for nights over this. You can be happy now in this very moment for no reason whatsoever. What's holding you back? Good luck with that, by the way. Every one of us is like, I got stress on that. I mean, that is, who could not agree with that? But then you spend the rest of the day arguing, get the clipboard out, the pen, but my situation is, my problem is, my job is, my relationship, I don't have to love them. It all happens, the cool stuff, when you can figure out how to get to here. So go sign up for a mindfulness class, meditation class, just go for a walk, get a dog, do whatever you got to do. There's 40 million ways here, but there's 400 million ways the brain will say, no way, Jose. You want me to light some sage for you? Or for the audience?
Let's do it, Michael.
Okay.
Action, no thinking.
Exactly. Okay, so everybody at home, you can watch any of the videos I've been in, whether I'm a guest on 60 shows in the last 2+ years, or all the guests coming on. I've got a little YouTube show that's tiny, nothing like his show right now, and I love his show. So subscribe, like, share, comment right now, especially if you smell the sage. Doesn't matter whether you're in New Zealand, Germany, Australia, and it's 2030 in the future. Make sure you're really liking it then and putting a comment in. Some people who are sensitive, though, start smelling sage through 2 screens. There's no time and space. You can meet Einstein, chat with him about this. Leave your eyes on the smoke. Catch what you can catch. Ask for flower smells, though. Why settle for linear? Get wisteria, lavender. Catch the smell of sage. It might be a campfire smell. And if you want to go cray, crazy, wild, ask for an ocean smell to come in. You miss Noosa Beach or Snapper or the Seychelles, Azores, or it's just, Rehoboth in Delaware or California, Hawaii. If you need to close your eyes now after you've seen enough smoke, what will you allow for? Let angels bring it to you. Let the universe, let loving beings, whatever your lingo is. But here's my one tip or advice. Set your intent. This is the only thing I really tell people besides breathe a lot. Angels, hey, get me out of my head into my heart. Help me smell some sage. Amen, rock and roll. Thank you. Om Sai Ram. You got to own it. And if you need extra help, pretend you're at a yoga class. You do better when you breathe. Let those shoulders go up and down. If you're a nose breather, I've had 1 out of 200 people argue with me. I don't breathe through my mouth. Forget it. Nose, I'm offended. You did it. Fine. Breathe through the nose, but I want to see the shoulders going up and down. No try Yoda. I'll do Yoda's voice just to totally embarrass myself here. Do not. There is no try. I did a little extra emphasis there, but now your brain has to focus on Yoda. Your heart is totally free. The ego is in a little biplane, rickety, like out of the Alfred Hitchcock North by Northwest that chased Cary Grant across the field. It's a little half tank of petrol, rickety 1930s biplane. It has to go back to the hangar. It can't hang around a lot of love. You're either in the heart or you're up in the brain. It's what Wayne Dyer said about a hot shower. You can't be upset in a hot shower and enjoying it. It's what Eckhart Tolle said about awareness and ego. They can't coexist. It's one or the other. You're the only one who can do your own figuring of what this is and what this is. No try. Although Archangel said always try and Yoda says no try. They're both correct. So this isn't about right or wrong. It's about proper understanding. And I don't know how else to explain it except there's something beyond words that every sports person knows, every musician, every artist, every poet, every religious person, non-religious person, you experience it all day long. Okay, now we won't ask if you got saved. This is one area. Didn't you do some steps before the show though, where something happened?
So we tried this before, and I didn't get a smell, and I didn't get a smell then. Like I said, when I did the writing, I got words, like the words flowed. I got messages. I'm not
And
getting.
did you get? Yeah, you took some steps before the show too that were definitely in other areas at least. So
Oh yeah, like not with your work. Like yeah. There was another time when somebody was doing a ceremony and they were connecting to me energetically, and at the time I knew they were doing that, I had this smell of incense, and I said to them afterwards, "Hey, were you burning incense while you were doing your thing?" And they said, "No, but it's quite common for people to smell something whilst we're doing this work." So that was like my definitely like a moment my ego couldn't figure out, right? So that's like one kind of little breadcrumb that's had me open up to yeah to this kind of work and other things. Yeah.
can I put up a photo of Joy so that people can take a shot at letting go? If people want, they could put their hand up and feel the vibe through two screens. Just breathe, relax, feel a little sparkle, warmth. There's about 1,000 ways to feel an energy bump somehow through two screens. Let an angel do her job. If you want to consider this interdimensional, she's moved, changed colors. People see a face in there. All sorts of stuff's happened. There's an angel named Charlotte. A lot of Europeans and New Zealanders have seen like a pulsing blue light from her. It's not meant to freak you out. It's just meant to be a little more experience for you. So there's Joy. Let her
That
do her
one
job.
I do feel like that. I feel tingly. I feel stuff up the spine. So
And I'll put up Audrey
I'm
Hepburn
more
next.
open on the body side.
I'll put up Audrey Hepburn next, but people can ask a quick question too, though. Hey, Joy, silently do it. Don't get caught at the supermarket talking out loud. Joy, what do I need to know in life right now? And just listen. For a second, it'll be your own voice, the one you're used to. But the second you really just let go, breathe, get over this, get over the novelty of this, you'll hear a high, peppy 28-year-old voice like, hey. And when people went to see her at Omega Institute, physically see a group of people, like 2 or 3, I always say she's blonde, 28 years old, jean jacket, upscale dress underneath, no wings, then wings. They saw her as a brunette, so don't listen to me. They've got Hollywood wardrobe ability to show however they want to show. So feel what you could feel, see what you can see, chat, listen. I'll put up Audrey Hepburn's photo. A great example, though, of a historical photo moving. We know a photo can't move, but it's a little like those Harry Potter movies when the newspaper, the photo in the newspaper in the movies, if you ever watch those, moves a little. It's kind of cool. Let her wink, smile, shoulder waggle, eyebrow goes up, catch an uninvented perfume from Paris. Meanwhile, ask her, if we juggle 9 balls at once, put your hand out, feel what you can feel, ask for a hug down your back. The brain, the ego, the psyche, the intellect, which, by the way, don't help you with love at all, or being in the moment at all, or letting go. It'll talk you out of it. It can only block 1 or 2 of these acts. The rest can get through. Your heart is like an Olympian. It knows what to do. So your heart will be like, oh my God, she just smiled more in the photo. I can't believe it. I loved it. Do it again. The brain's like, I didn't just see that. And now ask her a question like, hey, what do I need to know for this week, this summer? What do I need to know? 2 things to have more fun daily. The easiest question, if you're nervous about this, is, hey, Audrey, what do I need to know?
Like 2
What do you
things
get?
to have more fun daily. I got dance more. I didn't see any facial movements, but I did get dance more. So, yeah.
She's on my website on the front page next to Geronimo. He's great. He talks in a slang way. He's very powerful. I'll put up his photos so people can see it. But she's there, so you go for a run, walk your dog, get good news, take a shower, find a way to be more open, 5% more open, light a candle, set your intent, then go look at the photo and just listen, feel, put your hand up. When I first tried to use my hand to feel, I'm watching like a 13-year-old do it, and I'm watching adults who are really open doing it, and I'm like, whoa, my hand, I don't know if I can feel. I'd go to a candle and not burn myself, but a slight distance above that's safe. I'd be like, okay, can I feel anything with my hand? At the beginning, again, I'm a total idiot about this stuff, but I'm telling you, everyone's got full abilities. That's all I do is help them tap their existing Jedi skills. Here's older Geronimo, and he is super incredible. Love. Action, 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 dry wit humor, but talks in more slang. Yeah, nah, just do it. Ask him a private question, get an answer, get a hug. Unofficial rule, breathe through your mouth. It's like turning up the volume on the stereo. It just lets your body flow more. And I'd say the same thing if you're on a tennis court, going for a walk, or on the pitch, kicking a soccer ball. Breathe more. Did you hear him come through crystal clear?
Not him. Like I got a thought.
What'd you get?
Be strong. I got be strong. I didn't hear his voice.
Let's just attribute it to your psyche, your intellect, your higher self, or maybe it was Geronimo. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, I'm open.
Oh, and how about I show some energy as well? But here's the deal. Like, people can just say whatever color they see in a normal Bic lighter. So that's like gold, white, yellow, orange, whatever. And there's some clear and some blue at the base, I guess. Okay, later, if I do this, you can ask angels to come in and put extra sparkle, zip, color that we know can't be part of a Bic lighter. That shocks the crap out of everybody, so forgive my English there. But I'm going to do this. I'll put my fingers up against this background. Blue sky is number one. Good luck remembering this 6 months from now. The brain's going to want to shut you down, forget everything. Humans forget everything. This is about remembering to remember, if you can remember, when you remember to remember, and that's not even original. Songyel Rinpoche taught his students for 35 years. I thought it was original. For 35 years, he taught remember to remember. There's nothing that I've said so far that isn't from like an angel, a guide. I'd love to come up with something original. I got dad jokes. So leave your eyes between my fingers. Give yourself permission to see it. Seeing without seeing, the Zen thing. You'll see a little filament of light between my fingers. They did this in the movie Celestine Prophecy, but a guest on my show just said they were doing this in the 1970s. So it wasn't necessarily that. In India, they do it this way. Here we go. You'll see a little filament of light between my fingers. Give yourself permission to let go. Breathe. Ask angels to make it nice. And just see a little stream of light between my fingers.
Yeah, I
White.
see that. I can see that.
What
That
color
I
do you
can see? I see white. Yeah, I see white.
Okay, but we're going to do it one more time. Do me a favor. Break all your structure. Don't make a fire. Go circle. Yep. And just for 5 seconds. There you go. Now, think of your best vacation memory. Drop your hands. Think of your best vacation memory where you were a rock star on the beach. It was like, boy, I wish I could do that every month.
I got it.
Now we're going to do it again. Do you think you let go at least 1% of 1% more? And if so, this is the kind of message of the whole show. Why not let 1% of 1% more light come through, like white and gold, white and blue, white and yellow? And of course, you're going to get a dad joke. Where in a hospital is the worst place to play hide and seek? Where? In the ICU. And now see a little extra light. Who cares? Don't make me do Yoda's voice again. What do you see between my fingers this time? More white?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more white. Like a white. Yeah, white.
Okay. Hey, now, by the way, those are the Hindu chakras. You know, the whole, I forget how it works. Red, orange, yellow, green for sure. Blue, purple, white. White's all the colors combined. The only thing bigger is rainbow light. I would tell anybody, stop the show, run out and buy a lotto ticket, finish the last chapter of your book. If you've had writer's block for the last 2 years, go for the run and do, an extra 5 kilometers. Rainbow light is pretty. It'll make your jaw drop. And for me, I would run to my kitchen and yell, what am I seeing? What am I seeing? Oh my God. It's that pretty. So everything is bigger than you can imagine. That's why everything is so limiting when we're up here, welcome to being human. Last time I checked, when I turn on the news or I check world affairs or I check the latest scientific moves or the push of this group to help mankind, it's a lot more thinking. FOIA requests. This person did that. Now, we all have to do that. It's the Shakespearean drama playing out on stage. But this isn't about drama-rama. It's about Rama. Meet him. More Rama, less drama. Exactly.
I love that. More Rama, less drama. Yeah. No, but I saw something. I saw some white. Yeah.
So, look, everyone's got angels. I help people meet their guardian angel. They tend to make it. You could do 9 hours of listening or 5 hours or 3 hours of listening and jump through every hoop perfectly. So you can see angels behind me standing here. You can have a little ball of light. I've got little balls of light for 2 South African guests. One lives in France. One lives in Germany. One ball of light went across like this. The other is all over my social media. It goes like this. It was more clear. So there are a few videos. I've got one where I was talking one December and Joy, the pink ball light, but she was white for some reason. She shows in any different color. There's no one way about this. She comes by like this, and it's, people have said car headlights. It's not. Look, what will you allow for? It's absolutely crazy. And what are the odds anybody watching is going to go for an evening walk out of the normal routine? They never go for an evening walk just to enjoy nature. Good luck with that. Same proposition. It's the New Year's Eve resolutions, gym, health, fitness. I'm going to be more open and ask people out on dates. I'm going to change jobs. Finally, I'm miserable at this one. We have ways of just being stuck that are unbelievable, and then take it at the organizational level or the country level. Welcome to being human. Now, Angel said, I did ask one big picture question. How fast, if everybody got jiggy with it, if everybody was like, we could use more kindness, love, and compassion, everybody, we all had iPads, photos of angels, or satellites were tuned in. There's going to be a big kumbaya. Good luck with that. Never going to happen. But how fast could humans raise their consciousness level, be a little more open, do a little less war, a little less conflict judging? 3 hours was the answer. My bet is maybe 30 years from what I've seen in 13 years. Oh my God. I mean, I've gotten stuffed about 10,000, 6,000, 5,000 rejections, but I've had like almost as many yeses. So I feel like I've seen it all, but I'm always surprised. Wait a week and you can have somebody be really mean or yell miracles and be wonderful. But it's back to each person and how they're going to flow their energy. A lot of us are shut tight like oysters. And if people want like 2 or 3 good movies, watch Angela, Angel-A from Luc Besson, who did The Professional, Fifth Element, Joan of Arc, and all the rest. Beautiful movie, very modern, black and white. They shut down Paris in like 2010. It's got a mafioso sort of element to it. There are some moments in it that are gorgeous. There's also Peaceful Warrior, because it's all about your inner fearless peaceful warrior being here, letting go of what you think you know. And that's just a gymnastics movie at a Disney level. Disney didn't make the film, but they might as well have. Scott Micklewitz, Nick Nolte, Amy Smart. But it's all about the ego thinking. And I'm telling you, the garage mechanic, Socrates, they call him Sock. They never found out his real name. They just gave him a label. So because he was really wise, they called him Socrates. That was an angel that people can actually meet, who's been around a long time, popping in, helping human affairs, especially like during the Renaissance and stuff like that. So what are you going to do with all this? Who knows? If you can laugh more, love more, that's all this is about. It's why I tell dad jokes.
Right. And I guess, and I suppose what's interesting, and just as I reflect on this, it's not like, because so much of self-development, right? There's like the process, and you follow these steps, and these are the practices, and it seems to me it's not like you're sharing principles or steps or kind of philosophy or a prayer. It's just connect to your heart.
Let go and keep letting go.
Okay.
The details don't really matter. If you want, I'll try to find one quick. Here, I'll read just 30 seconds from the book, but it's, again, if anyone thinks this is me, great. I don't usually talk in terms of compassion, unconditional love, but start right now. Letting go means less thinking. Do not get lost in perceived tasks, roles, ego, etc. Being in the moment is to do compassion for all. For individuals, an egoless path will be great, but it's just not realistic. Allow ego to serve as a reminder when it pops up, a reminder for what you decide. How about a reminder to breathe? How about a reminder to enjoy each moment as it comes? Believe that all moments can be the same. Whether it's a moment at work or a moment looking at nature, all moments are the same and peaceful. Good luck with that. Only thinking something can interfere with this. Likewise, there are not separate paths for mankind or separate worlds for individuals. I mean, there are, but one is one. Through awareness and owning the consequences of one's thoughts and actions, your flow, a person begins to see how all of life is truly interconnected in one. Faith in all can lead to a change in mankind. This is the path for all of man. And I'll leave it that way. Yeah, and I'll do one more. This is the golden rule, and Jesus talks about this and everybody else. Compassion for all is life. This is also about acceptance for all. Regard others as yourself, generously and without fixation. Believe in all. And I just had an angel, the blue ball light, Charlotte, remind me the other day. Open eyes and open heart to all. I mean, I catch some really mean comments, and then I'm like, that person was so mean, and then how long does it take me to let go? Sometimes just 5 minutes if I'm really lucky, sometimes like 5 days, because I'm like, they were so mean. I'm like, oh my God. And even the meanest person, I'm still trying to practice like, hey, it's cool. I'm not trying to judge it at any level. Even the stuff that you hear, how you're supposed to react, I'm just trying to practice letting it go. Otherwise, I'll never get on stage helping people, 700 people at a time. So.
Yeah. No, this is, I mean, this is all, and this is great. Let it go. Let it go, let it go,
Why
let
do
it
you
go.
think that?
Connect to your heart.
Yeah, what was that snow movie Disney thing?
Yeah,
Let it go. The song, with the snowman in it. I forgot. Frozen.
yeah.
Every one of our movies, kids' movies, adult movies, all point the same direction. Even the worst movie ever. Thousands of people. We'll do the homeless quote again. Remember, homelessness is an adventure. Good luck with that. But even the worst movie ever that you and I are like, oh my god, that had like a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is bad. Thousands of people worked on that film, and at the time, nobody was saying we are going to make a 2% Rotten Tomatoes approved. The worst movie ever known to man, Ishtar, with Dustin Hoffman. We're going to absolutely flub at the box office, only make $300,000. Nobody does that. So no one gets up with their thinking and believes anything is negativity at all. You're earnestly like, no, my neighbor 10 doors down is the worst human being in the world, and I know it. But Mother Teresa says it best. You can meet her. Great sparkle, sense of humor. I had a woman from Sweden who adopted 2 kids from her, met her in 1997, got to reunite with her on the other side. Same thing with Chogyam Trungpa. 2 people who studied under him reunited with him. But she said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. And how true. Also, she said a lot of other cool quotes. They're on my website. I went blank. I forget everything. But look, this is right in front of you. So that's why it's like all the classic movies that are more literature. I can never pronounce this author, one of the most famous authors ever, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. He's got that line, the village of Wakanda, whatever it's called. The world must be all blanked up when mankind travels first class and literature goes as freight. Now, that's kind of every Heart of Darkness, whether the movie, I don't know if you remember Charlie Sheen's, Martin Sheen played the main character, but it was the Joseph Conrad story going up the river, which is the journey from here to here. Mankind, this is the eternal questions. We're never going to figure it out. But I mean, the bottom line is part of you doesn't want to. It's better to have the conflicts. It's better to know exactly where you are. I'm an accountant. I work Monday through Friday. I got all these problems, and that's how I identify with it. It's easier. Nobody wants to do the big heroic journey that, Joseph Campbell, you can meet Joe. He got an A+, according to angels. I pride. He got an A+ on his life path, but he never actually met his angels. He did probably on the other side. So you can meet and chat with them. You can see him full on. I mean, I'm off the hook. And let me add why I'm off the hook. Forget the photos, forget the videos. If 2 people do it and they're getting along, 2 twins, twin brothers, 2 twin sisters, they can each be half the glow stick, see their light flowing between them, and they can jointly feel, hear, and see angels. Not just angels, but like a Native American guide, a figure from India, their Aunt Martha, check with angels first. Same thing with healing. I stay out of it. I just had a doctor. I pulled 7 minutes from our August 30th, 2024 show that we're in June right now. She gave me permission. She grabbed me for 2 days. I didn't know her medical condition. She didn't tell me to the very end. She had the chat with angels. She asked for everything direct. Those hugs can become healing. We could be just talking like left calf muscle. Some stuff's written, some stuff's not. So you have to figure out what's what. Sometimes you're meant to pick up that condition, and that helps define your path. You signed up for it. And she got what she called divine healing and tipped me big, which I didn't expect. I was donating time. And she gave me permission to do this. But my guardian angel was her guardian angel. I think there's 80,000 of us that share this guardian angel. Light waves of energy and water, men like the word Minnesota. And so final thing with her is, anyone can see an angel in human form. Just ask for it. You have to be like sincere. You have to be at a level where you're kind of like would even allow for this. If you're just like new to the topic, don't worry about this. But if you want to have a stranger or 5 women with sparkly eyes, Hollywooded out, high vibe, holding the door open to the tea shop, the coffee shop, your cell phone shop, your supermarket, you're hustling along looking at the iPhone. They say, what's the rush? And they say just what you said at the dinner party conversation the night before in the movie. And you go, wait, whoa? They might even use your first name. And you're like, how? But your whole inner guidance system gets scrambled. You get flustered because you're like, who are these people? They're like the happiest, shiny. You can ask them to go for a cup of coffee. That's more available now. And good luck with that. But I've had people do that.
You've had people go for coffee with their angels. Yeah.
Yep. You have to have a lot of guts. But how much guts do you really have to have? You have to get to here The same guts to hit the light switch, the same guts to take an unusual coffee break, tea break, smell the roses of life, put your feet up. I have a running coach that's an angel who often tells me, don't go running, put your feet up, grab a beer. Wait, what? We're supposed to work harder, aren't we? Think about running sports coaches. They make for great coaches. Normally, you're either runners are so unique. We just know how to be punishing to ourselves. You cross the finish line in the 5K, 5 seconds off last week's time. You're just brutalizing yourself. They know, though, when you're about to get injured and to pull, like slow your horses, slow your roll. Don't go for a run, do less. And they also know when you're going to sandbag and be lazy. And they're like, no, let it fly. Go an extra 10 kilometers. You got. So they get to see it all. I had a figure that's more galactic that I've been worrying about my bank account for a year. This is a scary service. Not everyone's going to want to do it. In fact, it's going to be a few more years before people, even in the spiritual community, can embrace this more. But one of them said, we've seen the last page of the storybook. We've seen every chapter of your life. We know to the decimal what your bank account is. Don't worry about it. They have me in kind of a stasis for the last year. So I'll pay extra attention to a few areas and make sure I don't get lost in doing so much business. I don't know if that makes sense, but we can get caught up in our routines, even doing great business. Pretend you got hit by lightning, not that this is going to happen this afternoon. And suddenly you're, Richard the healer, you're wide open, you're running around and you're telling everybody about this. You're really good. You got a talent. You touch people on the shoulder, they open up, they're seeing fully. Most people hang a shingle out and that's the end of their learning and expansion. And they're really good. You could be Joe Dispenza, you could be anybody. But the growth and the learning never stop. And so the best parts, the best accountant, the guy who has 5 PhDs or a woman and is a total intellect, and we all look at him on social media. They're getting interviewed every 2 days. They've been, with the MIT guy, Lex Freeman. They've been on the Joe Rogan show. But are you really open? Are you allowing the universe to get in? Openness is the true inner fearless warrior thing. It's just being in the moment beyond words. It doesn't mean you have to turn into a vegetable. If there's just something going on in the universe, it's so big that it never stops, the learning, the growth.
Yeah. Wow. What a message. Yeah, what an experience. It's exhilarating to be with you, Michael. And
Exactly.
I just checked. I wasn't getting any sparkles.
Yeah, hold on. I'll do it for real. But you got to set your intent to be like, hey, angels, some of your audience, you guys have to subscribe, like, share, hit Richard's, site up and make sure other people are subscribing as well to say thank you for all this. Ask for a little extra light. You might get extra. That was a fake bunch of sparkles from my Bic lighter. But you can see pink sparkles from Joy, fireworks. If anybody wants to see a pink ball light fly by in their room, look up, breathe, relax, ask for it on the walk later. It might be on the periphery. If you're resisting, it's on the peripheral. The brain says, I didn't just see that. I had a white ball under my long wooden kitchen table that I'm in front of yesterday. And I was like, whoa. And if I feel a wind in the room, I still run to my thermostat to check, welcome to being human, to make sure my AC is off, the windows are shut, and that be sure it wasn't my mind. And it was absolutely nothing real. It was the universe saying, hi, I'll be talking to a guest and I'll have little balls of white light come in. I'm seeing auras on some of the guests. And I don't normally, I'm about to do a very human thing. I don't normally see auras. Well, did I just limit myself there? I'm seeing auras now a lot. When I'm in the zone listening, I look like a fish in water or fish out of water on my show sometimes because the guest is so good. And I'm just, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm seeing their light and I can't say it out loud. So Richard, you've got all the skills. So does everybody listening. More love is possible in each moment. End of story.
Yeah, with the aura thing, I was in the presence of somebody who's, a bunch of people, and we were in this group, and they all seemed to have very strong ability. And for a few moments in that group, I was able to. It was like being in the presence. I started to see, I can see something. And then, but like on my own, so far at least, I've not seen them. Yeah.
Here are 3 places that people feel automatically comfortable just subconsciously: eating, movie theater, and at concerts. So, but I'm not talking like a huge concert with 20,000 people, although that works. And I'll show that photo from the concert in Austin, Texas. My point is, when you're eating, everybody eating is a way to relax. When I was a public relations guy, I used to have everybody meet over breakfast or lunch because it was a great way to knock barriers down and connect. But look around, don't pick a victim. ask politely, permission-wise, the back of their head. You'll see the light. You'll be more open, that chatter that goes on at a restaurant or a movie theater before the movie starts, but when the lights have gone down at the beginning, pick 5 rows down, do so respectively, and tune out like it's a boring professor or the most exciting professor. Sometime back at uni, high school, third form, you were totally interested or totally bored to death. That was when you were going to be likely to see an aura. The 1 hour felt like 15 minutes. They were really interesting, or the 1 hour felt like 5 hours. It was the Sahara Desert. You were never getting out. But that's when you are so checked out. The ego's like, I will do anything to get you out of this and to not be so bored. And that's when you see the aura. And it's the same thing with reading Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now or A New Earth. You're having trouble sleeping at night, walk away with one suggestion today. Read a paragraph or two. Your brain, your ego, your psyche, your intellect, your negative side will not permit you to read Eckhart Tolle's writings or my Listening to Angels book. 2 paragraphs, you're out of luck. You're sleeping like a baby because the brain has to make that dire death choice. Do I want you to sleep or do I want you to read like light language or lighter, high vibe stuff? No way high vibe. No way I'm letting you out of the prison, Plato's cave, the metaphor. Here was a concert in Austin, Texas. I'm sorry for the reflections here, but that's not orbs or rain or humidity. That's actual angels. I asked angels once if everybody would get the photo if they took it. And the answer was like 1/3 or 2/3. You have to be in your heart, let go. And there's all shapes, sizes, and colors. I know people will get hung up on the photo. It's not about any one photo, but you have no limits. Good luck with this. This is back to that. You can be happy now in this very moment for no reason whatsoever. Now let's do Tony Robbins. You have no limits. Well, yeah. Wait a second. You know what I mean? Like up here, it's wait a second. Down here, let's go. Action with no thought. Take baby steps. You're the only one who can design and figure out your own life. You've actually been in charge the whole time. As a kid, you're like, okay, like I'm playing, I'm running around, I'm doing this. I don't think kids had to check in to be like, hey, can I go run 6 doors down or go to the park? You just knew what to do. Welcome to being human.
Yeah. Action, no thinking. Get in your big heart. Great. Okay, Michael. Well, thank you so much. So the book, Listening to Angels, there are other books. These are all on your website. Remind people of the URL.
Yeah, sure. Michael André, like the champagne, Ford, like the trucker car, Michael André, AEL, michaelandreford.com. And you got links to everything then. I've got a YouTube channel that's the same thing, youtube.com/Michael André Ford, @Michael André Ford, or C/. And so check out what you want to check out. It's all tailored to you. And then the best is your own instruction of watching your brain react. Spot the little voice like Eckhart Tolle and everybody else talks about. Wherever you're putting up your resistance is now your opportunity for growth. You're like, it's not possible to smell sage. Are you kidding? Well, go watch any of the guests who are like, hey, I'm getting sage. Lorna Byrne, the Irish angel mystic, when I lit it and blew it for her, she goes, Mike, I'm not smelling sage in my heart. I'm like, first guest that hasn't smelled sage, I'm cooked. The brain kicks in no matter what. You can't shut it off. Then she says, I'm smelling daisies and roses. And I'm like, so don't settle for sage. You can get flowers. You can get an ocean smell. Jennifer McLean's been a 35-year healer. She's like, Mike, I think she's in Laguna Niguel in California. She's like, I'm smelling the sage, but I'm also getting 3 flowers. I don't remember the flowers. So what will you allow for is how I'd like to leave it. Welcome to Being Human. We're on the right podcast with the right show host. You're going to do what you're going to do, but you can have a little more fun and do a little more openness. It's coming for everybody, a little more just gentleness.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, thanks again. This has been awesome. I'm gonna complete the questions from your book, like I did the first one.
Show that page again. I didn't know you did this. You told me like 6 seconds before the show.
Yeah, you can't really see. I don't know if it's gonna focus, but anyway,
I didn't do it.
I got answers. They were great answers. And the bigger message, it seems to me, is like let go, drop into your heart.
Yeah, go try Yoda. Always try Archangel Michael or Gabriel. It's not though about the words. It's whatever this is beyond words. You have to do your own definition of it. The third place, by the way, for seeing auras that I didn't mention, it's not the big concert, but it's when you look at like a 4-person band and it's your favorite genre, jazz, alternative, whoever, look at like the bass player, get into it, especially if I don't know anything about music, but I know I like it listening. If you can get into it, you might see the bass guitarist white light all over them. And then if you really let go, you can see them all connected by light. It's just how it works. I mean, rare 5-star kitchens where they're not throwing pans at each other. Most kitchens can be like vicious, but in a good kitchen, they know how to dance around each other. They know how to get the orders done. That's why they're a Michelin rated, they're tops. They are dancing around each other like ballerinas on a stage. If you start thinking about this or analyzing it a little, it's everything. How do good business people trust their instincts? How do you walk into a room and know how to navigate it the right way? Versus all the times we've gone with the ego side and we're like, oh boy, more drama. I just got into the wrong relationship. I picked the wrong job. I invested that money in the worst way possible. And when it's all gone 6 months later, I knew better. I was told. Ask for signs. It doesn't have to be just the physical feather at your doorstep. Ask for an electronic feather made out of angel light that lands in your kitchen. And you're like, whoa. Again, running to your other kitchen and yelling, what just happened here? The feather's not there anymore. You saw it. It's going to break you like a spider monkey. I mean, what are you going to do with this? You cannot compute or process any of this because it ain't at the level of ego, society, Western civilization. Think of the indigenous local cultures that are more open than we are. They're happy with not nothing, but are happy in the moment. There's a certain flow that you enjoy when you go for a walk and sports and everything else, but it's not endorsed by Western society currently right now, or many groups and so on. That whole concept of an organization almost defeats the purpose. You have to be here. It's the only way in and into a broader reality that everyone talks about. Seth from the 1970s, woo woo woo, light being, inner fearless, peaceful warrior, the movie, even Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, everyone points to this, but you're the only one that can do the exploring. Last comment. It's like the classic treasure map, the X on the map. The difference here is you're not finding some external treasure. And yeah, people can point the way, but you still have to do your own treasure seeking. You're the treasure. This is the spot. X here.
Beautiful. Okay. Wow, Michael, thank you so much. Again, we'll put the link in the description as well. Yeah, and I'm going to ask for a sign. Let's see if they show up somehow. I'm open. I'm open. All right, great. Thanks again, Michael. This has been awesome. Thank you.